Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I have another top 10 video for you guys, and this one I originally had plans to make a top 5, but I thought of just so many things, I decided to make a top 10 out of it. And if you guys ever have a video idea that you want me to do, like a top 5 or a top 10 that you want me to do, let me know down below. I'm always open to fan suggestions. Now for today's video, it's top 10 activities and things that people just don't do anymore. And these are things and activities that people used to do back in the day. They were actually pretty common back in the day. A lot of people used to do them, but now today, they don't really do them. Not all of these are like, money-making strategies. Some of them are just different activities in general, and I'm going to go over each activity and why people stop doing them. There's varying reasons for it. Some of them is that different updates came out and people just stopped playing them. Others is that the payouts on them, if they're a money-making activity, the payouts were just not as good anymore, or they were decreased. But whatever the reason is, we're going to cover each one in detail, and I'm going to explain why most people stop playing them. And if you play these activities, that's perfectly fine. I do some of them too, but I'm just going to be explaining why a lot of people don't do them as much anymore. So now, let's get started with the video. Starting off at number 10, we have robbing convenience stores. Now this one, a lot of you guys are probably going to laugh at this, but people actually used to do this back in the day. When GTA Online first came out on PS3 and Xbox 360, people were robbing these convenience stores like crazy. Whenever you join like a full lobby, people would just be going convenience store to convenience store, just robbing them like crazy. And the reason they did that was because there wasn't really that many ways to make activities. We had some free mode events, but there wasn't really any other way in free mode to make money. People were also grinding contact missions, but back then the contact mission payout wasn't that good. They actually buffed it later on. So one of the activities that people kept doing was they also kept robbing stores, and also a lot of things weren't as expensive as they are today. So robbing stores, people actually used to do this back in the day, and the crazy thing is, I remember back in the day when stores would get robbed so much that you would barely see any store open in the city. You would barely see it, any store actually open there. A lot of the stores would actually disappear from the map. So people used to rob stores back in the day, but now today, they don't really do it. And the reason they don't do it is because there's just so many new activities out there, so many different ways to make money. And you could make 10 times the money by doing easier tasks than this, than going store to store. So there's just much more activities to make money. And even when I've robbed stores on live streams, I occasionally rob stores on live streams, not for the money, but because I like doing it. I think it's fun. Some people have actually laughed at me saying, why are you robbing stores? Well, I do it because I still think it's fun. It's part of the game, and it's unfortunate. I really wish they would increase the pay on these stores, because there was an event week like a few months ago where they actually had doubled the payouts on store robberies. So I really think that Rockstar should buff the pay in the convenience stores. Next at number 9, we have buying ammo from ammunition, or the gun store. And the reason that I don't think people really buy ammo from here anymore is because they can buy it from the interaction menu now. Back in the day, you couldn't buy ammo from the interaction menu, and people would actually go to the gun store a lot. Don't get me wrong, people still go here from time to time, but when they go here, it's either to buy a new weapon that came out with a DLC, or they go here to buy full armors. And when they get full armors, maybe they'll stock up on ammo as well. And I believe it's actually a little bit cheaper on the ammunition from the gun store than it is from the interaction menu. But people, they largely don't care about that. They'll still buy it from the interaction menu because it's more convenient. They don't have to make the whole drive here. At number 8, we have nightclub popularity missions, and while people do sell their nightclub business a lot, you won't see a lot of people doing popularity missions, and the reason is because popularity missions, they just took way too much time, and there was a 5-minute cooldown each time you did it, and they didn't really give you that much popularity. It actually used to be half a bar of popularity, meaning you had to do 10 popularity missions in total. Even though Rockstar has buffed it with the current casino DLC, they've made it where now you get 25% popularity for each mission. That means 4 missions instead of having to do 10 like in the past. People, they still largely don't do popularity missions because they don't see it as worth it. The max that you can get is $10,000 every 48 minutes, and if you take a look at a mission like this, nobody really wants to do a mission like this where they're just going around the map, just putting up different posters. It takes some time, and even though I made a guide on this pretty recently, it was actually pretty useful. A lot of people, they still told me that they don't want to do popularity missions even though the pay is much better, and I don't really blame them, but I still like doing these from time to time because I like to mix things up. Moving on to number 7, we have Emcee Contracts. Now, when Emcees first came out with the Bikers update, just like the nightclub, people were doing a lot of popularity missions when the After Hours first came out. People were doing a lot of Emcee Contracts when bikers first came out, but then I'd say after a month and a half, people just stopped doing them. They went back to doing VIP work and they went back to doing crates. People still did MC businesses, don't get me wrong. MC businesses are something completely different. A lot of people use MC businesses, but here we're talking about the Emcee Contracts. And the reason that I don't think people really used Emcee Contracts that much is because they took too much time. Even though they did have a 3-minute cooldown versus a 5-minute cooldown for VIP work, you had to go back to the clubhouse each time to start a new mission. People didn't really like that, and it was 3 random missions each time, so you couldn't really choose what mission you were doing. I wish you'd be able to choose what contract it was, and also, the pay wasn't that good unless you had like a full MC. The more people you had, most of the jobs that you do, the more people you have, the more money you get. But when you have few people on some of these jobs, like for instance, this one right here in Cracked, I'm doing this by myself and I only get 1 bag. I go through all this effort, kill all these lost bikers here, I crack the safe, then I take the money all the way across the map, and I only get $6,000. When you put that much effort into a job like this, and then you still gotta go back to the clubhouse, you can see why people didn't really do these MC contracts. After the bikers update, people did them for a month, like I said, and they just stopped because the payouts weren't too good and they took too much time. Next at number 6, we have Freeman Events. And when Freeman Events first came out in September of 2015, a lot of people were doing them. People really participated in these. And the reason people participated in them is because a lot of us, including myself, we thought that these would be better than the original Freeman Events that we had, because the original Freeman Events, those, armored truck robberies, shooting down the planes for Trevor, those paid pretty well, and they were pretty fun. We enjoyed them. But here, we got some that were good. Don't get me wrong, like we had criminal damage, that was a good one. We also had the air checkpoints, that was a good one. But some of the other ones are pretty bad. Like this one that I'm doing right here, this is an average one. Perform the longest jump in a land vehicle. And this one, I can just do this one with an oppressor. So people did these when they first came out, but then people stopped doing them. And they stopped doing them because the pay wasn't that good. And some of them were really bad, like flying under the most bridges and fly upside down for 10 minutes. And then 3 months later, VIP work came out. And VIP work, it paid much better than this. So people, they just stopped doing these Freeman events. I mean, I've been in 30-player lobbies, full lobbies, where not even one person participates in the event. So, people, they just don't do these anymore. At number 5, we have the original Heists. Now, when these first came out back in March of 2015, so many people were grinding these heists. I probably played each heist at least 30 times. That's how many times I played these heists. I remember each level perfectly. But why did people stop playing these heists despite so many people playing them back in the day? Well, the main reason that I think it is because of the payouts. The payouts are just pretty bad in comparison to new things. If you look at the reward for the prison break, it is $500,000. That is on hard, but that's divided between people. I got a 15% cut here. I joined this random heist. I don't know these people in here, and they're low levels. So low levels are going to be playing it because it's their first time playing it. I got a 15% cut. Not really complaining. I'll take what I can get because I have plenty of money anyways. I just wanted to see if I could join a heist with somebody, and I did end up joining a heist here. So a lot of people stopped playing them because the pay is just bad in comparison to other heists. I mean, the Doomsday heist, you can do all the heists with just 2 people, and you can split it 50-50. You can split it a lot more. The payouts are just much more worth it. Businesses pay you much more. And look at it. What I'm getting right here, $75,000, even if I was gonna get 20%, that would be $100,000. I could just source one top range car for $80,000, and then I could do a sightseer, do a bunch of client jobs, and even with the pay from the setup missions, I could still make that money much faster doing regular free mode activities instead of doing these heists. So they should really get a pay increase. But it's not just that. It's also the fact that because we play these heists so many times, we've grinded them, they become repetitive. We're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's why if Rockstar adds new heists in the future, they need to add, different approaches. Have a stealth approach, have a loud approach. Let us choose how we want to approach these missions. But it's also the fail aspect. The reason that I stopped playing heists, and I don't play the Doomsday heist, I don't play the original heist as much as I used to back in the day, it's because of people failing. I really don't like it when people fail. If somebody fails like once, that's fine, that's understandable. But when somebody just keeps failing repeatedly, it just gets annoying because then you have to restart, you have to do the whole mission all over again, and these heists are so unforgiving that when you die in a lot of these heists or you fail in some other way, it'll start you over from the very beginning, then you gotta deal with all the enemies, and the Prison Break finale is a perfect example of that. You guys are gonna laugh at this, but when I talked about, when I talked about the Prison Break heist, when I talked about this heist specifically, many months ago, earlier this year, I was just annoyed because when I was playing with a random, what happened was the plane actually crashed 2 times. The guy who was the pilot, he crashed the plane twice. twice before we even got to the prison, which I don't understand how you can crash the plane twice because there's not even any fighter jets spawning. I understand you might be new at the game, but how do you crash it twice before the people even get to the prison break? Like, what, do you just take off and just smash into the ground right away? The same exact thing happened when I played this heist many months ago, and then I played again, and the same exact thing happened. Somebody crashed twice. I'm not going to show the name of the person. I'm not going to show the name of the person that crashed here because I don't want to embarrass them. But then what ended up happening is after 2 fails, one person left the heist because they got annoyed that we were constantly restarting, and I don't really blame that person either because I was getting kind of annoyed at the restarts here. But that's the main reason, just the pay and just the fails that can contribute to it. It can cause a lot of time to be wasted. Moving on to number 4, we have the Hangar Business, and I wanted to have one business on this list. And while I don't know this for certain, my best guess is the Hangar is the least used business in this game because I don't see people doing it that often. Very rarely do I see people doing it. And what is the main reason that people don't really do the Hangar Business anymore? They actually used to do this a lot. This was actually a pretty popular business back in the day. A lot of people would say that the reason people don't use the Hangar Business is because it's not solo friendly, because if you do it by yourself, you can't pick up 4 crates, you can't even pick up 3 crates like with the CEO warehouses. Even if you're doing that solo, you can pick up multiple crates. But here, whenever you do it solo, you just have 1 crate to pick up. Like, you can see just how time consuming this mission is just for 1 crate. And while that is a big part of the reason of why people don't do the Hangar Business anymore, I think the main reason is because of its patch. Because when the Hangar Business first came out, it almost paid double of what it pays now. It actually paid a lot more. Take a look at this. This is footage from, a few years back. This is when Hangars first came out. Literally, when Hangars first came out over 2 years ago, and you can see how much more money I was making. This is not during a double money event. This is how much they used to pay back in the day. This was patched, Rockstar reduced the payouts on them, and they actually claimed the reason that they reduced the payouts was because the Hangars were glitched, and they were paying way too much. But, I never assumed that this was a glitch. I didn't think that it was a glitch with the payouts, but, regardless, a lot of people, they purchase these Hangars because of these payouts, and it's just unfortunate. So, what they can do to Hangars is increase their pay, but also do it so that if you're playing solo, you can pick up 4 crates, and you'll see a lot of more people will actually start playing and doing this business now. Number 3 is the Arena. Now, you guys knew this one was going to be on this list for things that people stop playing. Now, the Arena, this one I actually predicted early on that people were going to stop playing, and to sum it up, basically, the reason that people stopped playing it is because it was too much money to invest in with too little payouts. That's basically the summary of it, because you had to buy the Arena workshop and then get custom vehicles, and these custom vehicles were very expensive, and the trade prices were very unreasonable. They were unlocked randomly with each rank, and while you didn't need the custom vehicles, if you didn't have custom vehicles, you were put at a huge disadvantage. And it's a shame because the Arena was actually really fun. I actually enjoyed a lot of the modes, but even when the pay was double money, the pay was just really, really bad. And I said to myself that when double money pay on this ends, people are going to stop playing this. And now today, I can barely find Arena War matches. Here, I was able to find a match, but it doesn't really count because it was mostly my friends who joined it here, and we had a lot of fun. We had fun playing this mode. I enjoyed driving around the monster truck. I didn't win. I got eliminated pretty early on, but I still had fun and I enjoyed it. It's just a real shame what happened with the Arena. They should really increase the payouts on this. It's just a real shame of what happened. It was an entire update that just went to waste, and people just stopped playing it. People pretty much forgot about the Arena after just a month. At number 2, we have contact missions, and for this video, I'm going to specifically talk about the missions Violent Duct and Rooftop Rumble. Now, these 2 missions, people back in the day used to play these all the time. I remember I would get spammed with invites for Violent Duct and Rooftop Rumble, and these missions, they actually paid pretty well in comparison to everything else when GTA Online first came out. So people were just grinding Rooftop Rumble and Violent Duct. They were just playing those missions. I didn't see invites for any other mission besides those. What actually ended up happening was Rockstar actually nerfed the pay on Violent Duct, I believe, and then for Rooftop Rumble, they actually changed the mission, and I believe they made the enemies actually more accurate. They had more enemies spawn here, and also the briefcase actually spawned in a vehicle that was driving away, because previously, the briefcase would actually spawn right inside the parking garage where all the enemies that you would kill. So people stopped playing these missions after those nerfs, but eventually over time, Rockstar also increased the pay in contact missions, and people still did contact missions, but eventually over time, the reason people stopped doing a lot of them is because, things like Heists came out, then VIP work, and that was just paying much more, Contact missions, they would pay more depending on how much time that you would take. The more time you would take, the more money that you would get. But with VIP work, you could finish them pretty quickly and you would still get a good amount of money. So that's understandable why people stop playing contact missions. And I'm not saying people don't play contact missions largely. There are still a decent amount of people that play them, but it's just not as much as it was in the past. A lot more people played them. Today, not as much people play them, and people who are trying to rank up usually play them, or low levels. So low levels will play them because they don't have access to businesses, and they are good for low levels. But once you have those businesses going, once you have VIP work, they're just not as profitable as everything else in the game. So I do think that contact missions should get a buff, because whenever they're double money, you'll see a lot of people playing them. But besides that, not as many people played them as they did back in the day. Before I unveil the number one thing that people stopped playing, I wanted to make a special mention here.
With a friendly face, I kind of feel like a gang-banging ass cult leader, like Jim Jones minus the fruit punch. Kill them fools, my son. Handle that shit. Love y'all niggas.
And the number one activity that people just stop playing is adversary modes. I was thinking about making it both adversary modes and stunt races, but then I thought to myself, you know, if I'm really searching for a stunt race, I will eventually find a few people that'll play with me, but for adversary modes, I just can't find anyone to play with me. As you guys can see right here, I'm just sitting here waiting for people to join. Nobody joins. Even when I invite everybody on my friends list, I invite my friends, I invite my crew, nobody wants to join. And I don't really blame them either, because, you know, the pay in adversary modes is pretty bad, and that's why people don't play them, because they take too long, the pay's pretty bad, and the pay depends on if you win. Back in the day, people would actually play a lot of these modes, but now with businesses, with VIP work, with a lot more activities in the game, you know, better payouts in the Doomsday Heist, people just stop playing them, and it's a real shame because Rockstar puts so many of them in the game. I haven't even played all of them, and it's largely because the pay just isn't that great, and it depends on if you win. When you see double money in adversary modes, you'll see people playing them, but other than that, they don't play. And if you want to know just how little people play it, I put it to the test. What I did was I tried to search for an adversary mode, and it actually put me as the host. Air quota right there. It was populating the lobby. I actually put my controller down where my stick would keep spinning around so I wouldn't get kicked. And what I did was, in this time, I went downstairs, I made some food, and I actually ate. And I actually came back when it was about 10 minutes later. 10 minutes later, and I still was not even able to find one person. Not one person in those whole 10 minutes connected. So basically after this, I said, okay, I'm going to go to an auto-aim lobby to try it out there. Because I play in free aim, so I figured, you know, more people play in free aim. I went to an auto-aim lobby, and I sat for a few minutes, and eventually I was able to find a match. I was able to find a slasher match. And, you know, I like slasher. That's my personal favorite adversary mode. But even though I found a few people to play with me, these people are largely low-level players. They're new players to the game, and it's understandable why they're playing it, because, you know, they don't understand everything in the game at first, and they think that they're going to get good payouts from this, but they're not. I still had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in that mode, but a lot of people end up leaving in the mode because it stretched out pretty long, and then even when we won all the rounds, the pay just wasn't good. So, you know, I'd say it's adversary modes. It's the number one thing that people just stop playing, so I really hope that in the future, somebody from Rockstar is watching this, just please put a permanent double money on all adversary modes, and I guarantee you, when you do that, you will see a lot more people playing them. I want to start playing Slasher again. Slasher was a lot of fun, but unless you increase the payouts, a lot of people are still not going to play it. So that's that for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, and if you're new to my channel, enjoy my content, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.